Hello everyone, welcome back to DCF Model series by Valuation Interview Prep. In this video, we will be discussing about the P&L assumptions and how we have constructed this simple P&L. So let's get to it. Firstly, I want to tell all of you that in the previous video, we had some error and I have rectified it. So basically, was not completely an error. So basically, I took that all the years were calendarized, but this is actually a FY March ending company, Infosys. So now I have corrected that. Now currently we are into the FY25. So FY25 is not complete and 24 is completed, and accordingly if we complete the deal on 31st December 24, then the valuation stub will be at 0.25. So we have discussed in previous video that how this stub is important for this valuation. So because when we are closing at 31st December and the company is having its financial year ending on March 25, so still we are interested in 25% of the cash flow for 25th for FY25 year. So firstly, talking about the 2024 year, I simply took all the numbers from money control. Let me just show you 1 second. So basically I went on to the money control and took their P&L on a consolidated basis. So from here I got all the numbers for revenue, EBITDA, EBIT and D&A and all. Then some of the key assumptions that we have taken in this model. Okay, what happens from investment banking perspective is that many a times all of these assumptions are taken from some database like FactSet or Bloomberg, which usually consolidates all the brokers which are providing research on this company. So let's say there are 10 brokers who are covering this company and each of them is giving some estimate that okay, this company will be growing at a 7% or 8%. So these databases consolidated all of these estimates on an average or median basis, and from there we can take a well conservative guess. If not, then usually what happens is on a very detail or on a very end level, when the deal is finalized and everything is done, on that level usually the complexity in model increases, and therein all the assumptions are also being calculated based on the discussions by the management and the senior partners in the banks. So for this basic simple at a pre-level, we will be just discussing about how the assumptions are taken over here. So likewise, if we are taking from some database, I have just web search that okay, what is the long term for the next few years, the estimated growth for the Infosys is looking like, and therein I have mentioned the source over here. I found that it is estimated to grow by 7.1% for the next few years, and ultimately I declined this growth to come up to a reasonable assumption so that we are after 5 years we are in line with our overall long-term GDP growth rate. Because what happens is that usually if this is still a stable company, if you working on some startup and you are seeing 15%, 20% growth, so after your periods end, like after the 5-year or 10-year period, suddenly if you put the terminal growth rate as 5% and 6%, then it shows it is viewed as a sudden abruption in growth or sudden decline in the growth. So that's why in order to see the trend, okay, how for the next few years the trend will be, it's usually considered as reasonable to let your growth somewhere reach or somewhere decline a little so that it becomes a trend to come up to the GDP growth. So here I have taken this from 7.1% to 6.7%, so that in the next year when we calculate the terminal growth rate, we are taking 6.5%. Then we have EBITDA estimates. EBITDA is taken on margins. So for margin right now we had 26%, as you can see here. For this I checked that what are okay the industry players are having margins at. So for TCS, I found it somewhere around 27 or 28%. And apart from that, I also web search and found out that okay, for Infosys only, the analysts, some of the analysts are predicting it to be growing this margin somewhere in the late 20s. So I took a reasonable guess and I made this margin to increase and stabilize at 20% for the next 5 years. Then we have DNA. For DNA, I just took average of DNA as a percentage of revenue for the last 3 historic years, which is very when we are taking few of the parameters like DNA or capex or working capital basis as a percentage of revenue, then that is very simple guess, but not an unreasonable one, because what happens is ultimately when your revenue is growing, then only you will be needing more capacity to grow to cater the demand, so that of your product, so that your revenue is increasing. So somewhere this revenue and capex is correlated. Now again, from capex you would be getting a lot of DNA, so somewhere your DNA is also linked to the revenue. And net working capital is also, if you see the formulas basic, what happens is that we are taking current assets and current liabilities, and we are calculating number of days, which are again based on the COGS, the cost of goods sold, or the revenue. So again, your net working capital is somewhat correlated with the revenue. So it's not wrong, it's very simplistic assumption, but definitely not definitely very reasonable. So anyone cannot say that it is completely wrong, or it is not justified to take simply on the basis of revenue. And mostly in investment banks also, what we do is we are more focused on revenue buildup, because once the revenue is done, revenue buildup is considered as one of the most important exercise while performing the valuation exercise from investment banking perspective. And other than that, for all the other parameters like cost or capex or DNA, we usually tend to make some assumptions which is based on revenue only. So here for DNA we have taken this 2.9. Let me show you how it is coming. So for this I went to their BAMSEC. Infosys is also listed in US market, so they report their filings according to their regulations also. So this is BAMSEC, where we can get the filings of the US companies. Here I can see, I'm going to the cash flow. Yes. So in the cash flow, I can see this depreciation and amortization. So I have taken this for last 3 years and taken it as a percentage of revenue. This is in dollars, by the way, and our complete model is in INR billions. But yeah, I have just used this number for the purpose of calculating percentage. Next, for capex, again I have taken this expenditure on property, plant and intangibles and consider this as capex for this modeling exercise. And for change in working capital, I have taken these line items, which you can see, which have been taken in the blue hard code numbers over here. And if you order this, you will be easily able to understand that from where these numbers are coming. Okay, so your revenue is sorted, EBITDA is sorted. For interest, I have taken, right now I have not gone into creating a debt schedule. I have taken interest as a percentage of EBITDA, because ultimately we are more focused from the debt perspective. We are focused on the leverage, be it debt by EBITDA, or how much EBITDA times, how much EBITDA is covering the interest by how much times. So it is also an important factor. So right now I have just taken it as constant at the historic level, and see, so this was coming as this 1.1%. I have just taken it as 1.1% for the next forecasted years. Tax expenses I have taken from the tax rate which we have from the assumption sheet, and from this simple calculations I come up to the NOPAT, which is my EBIT and minus taxes. Then I calculate the unlevered FCF, which is addition of my NOPAT, DNA, less capex and less change in working capitals. This gives me the complete free cash flows unlevered for the firm. Now I have the capacity factor. This is now understood. This is coming from discount rate stub. So right now we are saying that the deal would be closing in 31st December 24. So this is coming to be 25%. So this is used in this present value calculation. If you see here, what I have done is I have taken 266 multiplied by 25% and then divided it by the WACC factor. So basically only 25% of this cash flow is being considered. Again, in discount period also, this discount stub is coming linked here also. So this is giving me that for the 25% of the cash flow, I'm just looking forward for the 25% time of the remaining year. Okay. And below this, these are the methods that we are using to calculate the enterprise value, which we will be discussing in the next video. Till then, thank you.